Welcome once again to the Deep Dixie Racing Report, brought to you by 5-Star Hyundai of Warner Robins, Georgia. We're glad that you tuned in tonight. Of course, as always, we are broadcasting live from the Rescue Smokehouse Grill here on Exit 75 on Interstate 75. If you're tuning in for the first time to the Deep Dixie Racing Report, we want to give you a very special welcome. We do appreciate everybody that has sent in comments, questions, suggestions, that sort of thing. We're always glad to hear from you. Pastor Todd Sharon here with you, along with my good buddy Brian Hester. And we missed Brian last week, had some irons in the fire, but he was able to make it back this week. We're glad to have him. And of course, my good buddy Dale Hall behind the camera. He is the technical brains of this partnership, and we're always glad to have Dale. And we may have Carolyn and Leo Johnson join us a little bit later. Not sure, but we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. And let me give you the rundown real quick. We have another historic legend in racing, not just dirt track racing, but racing in general. Mr. Eddie MacDonald is going to be here in just a little bit, around 7:15. We are going to go into some conversation with him. A few weeks back, I believe that we had him, but we're going to give him an opportunity to give us some more of those historic stories. He's also joined by his son, Eddie MacDonald Jr. And then we've got a couple of very interesting people that are going to be joining us tonight, Mr. Keith Kendrick and Jerry Ivey. These guys are historians, but more specifically tonight, just over my left shoulder here, you will soon see a restored race car. It is the car that Mr. Eddie MacDonald drove. Matter of fact, Dale showed me a photograph of the early 1960s, and it's got that car, excuse me, with Mr. Eddie standing by it, and that car has been restored. And the Lord willing, we're going to have that car here in just a little bit. I understand that they are en route with that race car, and we're going to be able to give you a few good looks at it. By the way, we do want to mention to you, if anybody is close by and you would like to come by and maybe get an autograph from a racing legend, Mr. Eddie MacDonald, you're welcome to do so. As always, we appreciate Raymond and Amy Poor and the fine folks here at the Rescue Smokehouse Grill. We're located right off of Interstate 75 on Exit 75. Whether you're coming north or south, it's very easy to find. They stay open till 10 o'clock tonight. And as always, we had an excellent supper. And we've got a few people that have ate here for the first time, and they absolutely loved it. And so that's going to be the front end of our show. That'll probably take the better part of the first hour. And then when we come back with hour number 2, we're going to be joined by a couple of racing champions. He is the reigning Bomber champion, 5-Star Hyundai Bomber champion at Cochran Motor Speedway. Mr. Hunter Cossette is here, and we'll also be joined by the Gray Ghost out of Milan, Georgia, Mr. Stevie Jones, late model driver. He's driven pretty much anything and everything as far as racing goes. And by now, I don't know if you can hear that, but they just drove up with the number. It's the car that I just told you about. It's been fully restored. And Dale, maybe at some point during the show tonight, you can kind of give us an idea what year model that car is, what make it is, and but you can hear the headers out there just a thumping. A really cool race car, and
we've actually got it on the screen right now. We got the picture in pictures.
Okay.
See it on the screen so people can see it.
Yeah, always good, Dale. Working always hard, trying to make our show better. And I understand that we do have multiple shots and screens, and so you'll be able to go out and see that for yourself if you're here live. If not, just keep tuned in, and we're going to get you another picture of that. We will start off each show with a word of prayer, and then we will honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Before we pray, we want to tell everybody out there how much we appreciate your support. We really do thank you for all that you do. And those of you that are sick, Those of you that have some type of an ailment or some kind of a malady or challenge, we want you to know that that stuff is important to us. We feel very blessed to be a part of the racing family. And here at the Deep Dixie Racing Report, we do believe in faith and in family and country. We are not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we love our servicemen and women. We appreciate all the sacrifices that they make for us. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone, wherever you're at, if you would, to please bow your heads and pray along with us. Father, we thank you for another beautiful day. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you for another chance to come back on Thursday night and to have some fellowship, to talk a little bit about racing, and to hopefully make some new friends. And Lord, we just ask that you be with everybody that's tuned in, those that are sick in our racing family, those that are facing struggles. You know what they are, you know who they are, and most importantly, you know how to fix it. I pray for each person that's tuned in. We pray for our servicemen and women all over the world, as well as their families. And Lord, before we close this prayer, we pray for every driver, every crew member, every track worker, and every person that goes out to watch the races this year or this weekend, or that competes in the racing. We just ask that you keep your hand of protection over all of them. And Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. And we thank you for dying on the cross, shedding your blood to forgive us of our sins so that we could be saved. And Lord, I pray if there's anybody that is watching or listening that haven't given their heart to you, that they would bow their knee at the foot of the cross, give their life to you. It'll be the best decision they've ever made. And we ask all these things in the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen. At this time, we're going to do it just a little bit different tonight. We're going to honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Most of the time we have a CD queued up, but tonight yours truly is going to sing the national anthem. I love the national anthem, and I really appreciate what it stands for. It grieves my heart to see people trampling on our flag and people doing what they're doing, man. I know everybody's got a right to do what they feel comes under freedom of speech and expression. But as for me, I love our country and I love our flag. And we want to honor America right now with the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched gently streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And God bless America. Welcome back once again to the Deep Dixie Racing Report. We're glad that all of you tuned in to join us. We've got a great show. And Brian, before we go any farther, we want to welcome you back. Yep. I know that there's been a whole lot that has happened in the racing world. since we talked last, and we finally got Mother Nature out the way.
Yes.
Had a lot of weather that came in, and it wiped out several weeks of racing. But this past weekend, man, where we were at in Middle Georgia, absolutely gorgeous. And if you're just tuning in, guys, you came on a great night. We've got a great lineup of guests. Mr. Eddie MacDonald, he is a legendary racer. He's here with us in the house tonight. His son, Eddie MacDonald Jr., as well as Keith Kendrick and Jerry Ivey. And I'm sure you can see the car over our shoulder. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. After our first hour is finished up, we're going to be talking to Hunter Cossette and Stevie Jones, some great guys. And hopefully by the end of the show, we're going to have our good friend from over at East Alabama Motor Speedway, Phoenix City, Alabama. Mr. Brian Thomas is going to call in and give us an update on what's going over there this coming weekend. Brian, I know that one of the big stories in racing, and Dell and I were talking about it, Randy Weaver is absolutely on a tear. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like 8 races in a row this guy's won. What do you know about that?
8 races. He stayed around the house this weekend, and he clipped off a Southern All-Stars race Friday night. That was where I had planned to go to Starwood, but I decided, well, I'm just going to go on Talladega now. I wish I'd have went to Cleveland, but yeah, it wound up being a pretty good race. They had good Neesmith. Neesmith Creek show up there, but wasn't Neesmith. But he wins a good race Friday night. Shows up Saturday at Talladega, sets it on the pole. There was actually some people sitting behind me there when he qualified. He had a supermotor in there, so he was just creeping around the track. That track gets real slick, and everybody, man, he's crawling. And then you see the crowd down there just jumping up and down. He's on the pole. Yeah, he runs away with it, but man, I'm tell you, I'd love to have them odds any day of the week. And I know Stevie over there probably agree. 8 times on the track. Yeah, and 8 wins. Yeah, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever talk to. We had an opportunity to talk to Randy. I guess it was weekend before last, and these guys, just country boys. Lot of love for their support. Located up there in Tennessee, and man, Randy, if you're tuned in tonight, man, we continue to wish you the best. And we told him when we talked to him, we hope that we could speak to him again. And hopefully we'll be able to do that real soon. I talked to him. He said he enjoyed it, and he said for us to call him anytime. So absolutely. If you're just joining us tonight, thank you for tuning in to the Dixie Racing Report. It's always got a great show lined up. Brian, before we give the rundown on several of the tracks, and by the way, I do appreciate what Brian does. Brian is kind of our journeyman here that he pretty much goes just about everywhere that's within a reasonable driving distance, and takes some really good notes and brings us some detailed information about the finishes. But one of the things that to Bobby Piper, Bobby and Kim, what a nice guy. And that race turned out to be everything that we thought it would be. And young Corey Dunn, second generation driver, he started on the pole, and man, did he ever get pressured from start to finish. I don't think that young man had one lap that he didn't have any breathing room. I mean, they were right on him, all the veterans. And Corey Dunn come away with the win there. And another very special part of that evening, Troy Talley, who was a member of the Southern Outlaw Super Street Series. Troy was a local racer down in Middle Georgia. We all knew him. We all loved him. And we allotted this past weekend as the Troy Talley Memorial Race. And it was a great turnout, man. His family came out, and during the pre-race ceremonies, they were on the start-finish line. And every single one of the Southern Outlaw Super Street drivers, they came by in a line, shook their hand. Wow. We were able to present them with a plaque, and Troy's dad was able to say a few words, and just a really, really good night as far as the camaraderie in the family. And guys, let me tell you, there is nothing stronger than the ties that bind the racing family. And that is no joke, man. That is not something
that I say lightly. I've seen it time and time again. And so for everybody that made that night very, very special, you know who you are. God bless you and thank you. His family was so very appreciative. But tell us what else is happening, Brian.
Well, as far as the rest of that weekend, that was some bunch of cars.
Mm-hmm.
I was really shocked. I know when Leo and Carolyn showed up over there, I met them about mid-evening, probably about 8 o'clock. They shocked me and came on and wound up with 54 crates Friday night, 40-something supers. And then on Friday night, you had a local hot shoe, Tim Boucher wins from Boaz, Alabama, Ronnie Johnson from way back. Ronnie seems to dig himself a hole a lot, and he is just the master of that. Him from Chattanooga. He comes in second. Riley Hittman from Chattanooga. It's third. Riley's been on a pretty good roll. A lot of consistent finishes. A bunch of big wins already this year. Jake Knowles. Jake's driving the Coosa Valley car now, the number 6 that Tim Rozelle won the Ice Bowl in. Those guys wanted to travel a little bit. Talked to Jake, and Jake said that he had a chance at the ride, and he comes from the back too, finishes 4th. And Jason Hyatt, another guy that's kind of been on a tear lately up in that area between there and Dixie from Oxford, Alabama. Jason comes in 5th. Good race, like I said. The track got real slick Friday night. They worked on a little bit Saturday, and the groove really moved around. If anybody's watched any of the videos, you gotta commend them guys because they're down a man now. Everybody pretty much knows that they lost Alfred Gurley. One of their owners has been there for years. He passed away last week, so they're kind of down their main man right now. So that same Friday night, William Thomas won the crate. Chase Edge was 2nd. Ronnie Johnson was 3rd. Eric Cooley from a good ways back finished 4th. And Nick Lyons, kind of not a big name, but local guy. He comes in with a good finish in 5th. They turn around and do it all again Saturday night, and they got the track in some kind of good shape. Now, I'm going to tell you what, if anybody wants to see a good race, and I don't overstump for any track, and I don't put anybody's track down, but that was one for the ages, just like they said. I mean, you had a 12-year-old kid up there racing with pretty much, to me, Ronnie's a legend. You know, he's won everything, and a lot of people pick at him because he, you know, they say he cherry picks. But my goodness, man, 60-something years old, he's won everything. That's why he wants to race. I believe him. Hey, and unload them, let's go race.
Got it.
And Ronnie comes from about 12th place. He catches the Clem kid. The Clem kid started about 6th. And he gets on the outside. He starts making a bunch of passes, gets by Matt Henderson and Eric Cooley, and gets up front. Ronnie runs him down about lap 28, 29, and they wrestle back and forth. Him and Eric Cooley pass back and forth. Ronnie winds up winning the Neesmith Crate Show at the end of the night. Eric Cooley was 2nd, Matt Henderson 3rd, Tyler Clem 4th, and Kel Comp, NASCAR star. I think he races in the truck series a little bit, and I think a little bit of the what is it, Xfinity series. They change names every year on that thing. So he comes in the supers that night. Randy Weaver, like you said a while ago, 8-0, commanding win. Just runs off with it. Had a little issue a couple times with some lap traffic, but he was able to move around them pretty good. And I talked about that in the interview with him, but he said that was the best thing about it was they had a track where they could move around. And
Brian, on that note, I'm wondering, and maybe if you know or Dale may know, I don't remember ever anybody going on a streak like that in a super late model. Can you think of, I mean, maybe, 4 wins or something like that on a touring series, but to log 8 consecutive wins in a super late model, that is incredible.
As far as the new era with the availability of technology, you can get your hands on just about anything now.
Right.
I don't know of anything, not in the last 10 years. Nobody doing anything like that.
Right.
It's hard for anybody to even win 3 or 4 in a row, just a late model show.
At a local track or whatever.
If somebody did that at just say Cochran, 3 or 4 weeks in a row, that would be
big news.
That'd be big news right there.
If you're just tuning in, thanks for joining us. the Deep Dixie Racing Report brought to you by 5-Star Hyundai, 650 Russell Parkway in Warner Robins. We're glad that you tuned in. And, of course, we are broadcasting live from the Rescue's Smokehouse Grill. And as always, guys, like Brian said, we're not just over stumping for something. We do appreciate the fact that Raymond and Amy and the good folks here let us set up shop here. It's a great, great place, a good atmosphere. But I got to tell you, my buddy Stevie came a little bit earlier, and I told him, I said, whatever you get is going to be good. And he said, well, I'm going to eat what you're eating. And I'm telling you, man, if you get the ribeye steak, the sirloin steak, you get the barbecue. Dale got the brisket tonight. It doesn't matter what you get. It's going to be good. These are award-winning barbecue cookers, and the place stays open until 10 o'clock tonight. If you're coming straight from work, no need to get all fancied up. A great atmosphere. Come just like you are. Take a look at Mr. Eddie MacDonald's Restore race car. He's going to be here signing autographs for anybody that would like to come on out, exit 75. Brian, getting back to your report there, where does Randy Weaver go from here? What's his next race?
Oh, he talked to me about it the other night. I think they're going to take a weekend off, and then they're going to start getting prepared to go to Eldor. That was his main goal set. He said he's had some decent finishes there, but he said when you on a momentum like this, he said we want to go over everything,
right,
and be ready, have both cars ready to go.
Right.
So I think that's pretty much what they're getting ready for right now.
Yeah. This coming weekend, lest we forget, we want to wish all of our mothers a very happy Mother's Day. We do appreciate all that our moms do, and racing is no different, man. We've got, I would dare say, we've got as many female fans as we do men that come out to the races. So we want to wish all of you a very happy Mother's Day weekend. Anything in particular that comes to mind? Any bigger shows are going to be coming up this week that we know about?
We got to say, the warm-up race for the All-Star Series will be in Cochran Saturday night. Hoping for a good crowd, and that'll be just like the rules state, open 8-inch tire on the front, H500s on the back. You can run the All-Star motor rules. Down here in this neck of the woods, you got Ultimate Series running Needmore and Albany this weekend down here. So that'll be a good crowd. I think there's some local guys going to jump in there with them and that'll have a good show. And also on a shout out to Carolina Clash race at Scriven last Saturday. Kind of relatively an unknown guy named Tim Allen, not Tim Allen from the TV show, but Tim Allen wins the Carolina Clash race and puts on a whale of a show between him and Casey Roberts. Another guy that's not a household name, Ben Watkins, was third. Casey Barrow was fourth, and our old guy from up the road here, little Hunter Peacock, finishes fifth. He keeps running in that little Ultimate Series, and I think Hunter's going to be running down here this weekend too. I talked to one of his guys this week and said they're going to keep plugging along between the Ultimate and the Carolina Clash Series right now. But as far as I know, that's pretty much it as far as on the agenda for our area right here in Auburn.
Again, if you're just joining us, Brian Hester giving us our weekly rundown, recap of what's happened. And, Brian, I know that toward the end of this month, Memorial Day, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on. Of course, there's always that historic month of May up in Charlotte. And it just seems like about now, I know that my son is a junior in high school, and school is about to let out. Dale was telling me they've got about 6 days left in the school system that he's in. This is, in my mind, where we really start our summer stretch. And I know that at Cochran, you mentioned about that All-Star Stock Car Series. Guys, this is really a legitimate, well-run, thought-out series. Carolyn and Leo Johnson have had this series going for, what, 2 years now?
2 years.
2 years. We see many late model touring series. Bobby Piper, they've got a super street, but you don't see a whole lot of a series that goes down much lower than that. And at our neck of the woods, we call them pure stock. A lot of people call them hobby, but wherever your track is, I'll guarantee you, if you're in any part of the state of Georgia, I don't care what kind of car count you have, you're going to have a good field of pure stocks. I mean, they are absolutely every week. I think we had 21 this week or something. And on that note, this coming Saturday, this is going to be what we're calling a Memorial Day shootout warm-up race. And what we're going to do is we're going to give these guys an opportunity to bring their cars out. Those that haven't ran the new H500 tire on the back, any kind of changes that they want to make, now's the time to do it, because the next All-Star Stock Car Series race is coming up Memorial Day weekend. And just so you can make a note, we're going to be racing Sunday that weekend and not Saturday, but that'll be the next one coming up. And Brian, I would be remiss not to mention Jason Flywheel Floyd. We know him as the Rim Rider, and obviously because he will immediately go to the high side. And he and Will Thompson had a great race the first couple of laps. But Jason Flywheel Floyd, man, and that Rim Rider Monte Carlo, that little metric car, that they're on fire right now.
Yeah. Is that 2 in a row, 3 in a row?
I'm trying to think. I think that Jason has either won every one of them, or no, I think Blake Martin won.
Blake won too.
Okay, and then I think Jason has won the others. Should have done my homework on that, but right now I know of no one hotter going into the All-Star Stock Car Series event coming up at Cochran. Going to be a great weekend.
And that's going to be regular time. I know a lot of people, the rumor keeps going around about them starting at dinner time. No, they're not starting at dinner. We want you to, like you said, get up, go to church, do your regular thing, spend some time with your family on Memorial, pre-Memorial Day, and then come out and watch some good racing. And it's very seldom we get to do that on a Sunday night. So I want to have a packed house.
On that note, we want to say, I just want to give a shout out. I really do appreciate the fact that that the racing community does consider and observe things like that. We've got a couple of churches that are reasonably close to Cochran, and we have talked with those pastors and the congregations and asked them if they would have any issue, basically from a noise standpoint. And, Chris Martin and Billy Lyles, the people that I've worked there, one of the first things they did, they said, "We know you're a pastor. How do you feel about this?" And I said, give us a chance to go to church and let's come on out and do it. And I believe God will bless it. And, every Sunday that we've run, we have had an outstanding crowd. That'll be Memorial Day weekend coming up. Brian said it earlier. I think the gates will open up maybe around 3, something like that. I think we normally open at 4. But make plans to come and join us. It's going to be a great weekend. Of course, we do have a junior enduro class that's just about to get started, and I'm not sure if that's going to be this week or next, but that's going to be something to see for pure rookies.
That's going to be interesting there.
Yeah.
And then this is, one of them deals. I don't think there's going to be no slacking.
No,
I've heard already there's been some nice cars built, and they're ready to go.
Absolutely, and this is for 12 to 16-year-olds, I think.
So 12, 15,
and
12, 16.
This is absolutely a pure rookie class. This is not, someone that comes in and steals all the glory. Well, Brian, before we let you get out of here, man, what's your plans for this weekend? Are you going to stick by close, or where you headed?
We're going to stick by close this day.
I hear you, man.
Like they say, whatever happens in Vegas, leaving Vegas is about the same way thing with Talladega. So just you go have a good time and all that. And so I'm still kind of recovering from a weekend. But it was fun. I think that Carolyn and Leo was kind of shocked. That was their first time there and all. And I had kind of been talking about it, and he got there and he was kind of like,
tell that story about what happened up in the VIP box.
Good gracious, yes. Well, he went up there to do some filming, of course, and he wanted to go ahead and move around, do some other things. Carolyn just said, we're just hold off. We got here so late, and they're right in the middle of fishing the features. We won't bother nobody right now, so that's good. So me and her and I think's wife Bridget and Lavon's bar sitting out there and real good, just like you can at Cochran. Okay, you know, we didn't see him, you know, and he's kind of like me. He's easy to spot, you know, and we sitting up there, we kept looking. She just kept looking. She said, "Where is he gone?" I said, "Well, hit him up on the phone." Hit him up on the phone. Couldn't get him, I don't think. So finally, he comes easing down there. He's got his old camera. He's just smiling. And she says, "Leo, where are you at? Where have you been?" And I mean, I thought he was supposed to get into it. And she's passionate about her racing now. I'm gonna tell you, as far as any woman, we're talking about women loving racing. And he just got this old cat grin on his face. He said, "I was up there with Tony Stewart in the tower. You know, you got so cold, and I got these shorts on. I just figured I'd go down there. Him and his guys is up in there knocking back a few cold ones and watching the racing and all." And she just hollers out, "Leo!" like that right there. Needless to say, from the time I caught back up with them Saturday, I don't think they had said 2 words to each other.
Wow. How about that, man? My man Leo up there mixing it up with the big boys.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, Deep Dixie Racing Report, man, we appreciate you guys and gals watching. Of course, we do thank Mike Hurd and the folks at 5 Star Hyundai, 650 Russell Parkway in Warner Robins. And that is a sponsor that you do not have to hesitate to talk about. Award-winning service, great experiences. They have won the service award for the whole country.
Yeah.
And if they've not won it every year, they've been close probably the last 10 years. We do appreciate them. And of course, here at the Rescue Smokehouse Grill, a great atmosphere around here. Guys, if you've not come out and tried this restaurant, you got to come check it out. It's the absolute perfect place for a race fan to come, man. Good food. They give you plenty of it. It's affordable and just a real laid-back atmosphere. And all right, well, Brian, man, I got to tell you, I really did miss you last week. I'm serious, man. And Bobby Piper, Bobby's tuned in. Bobby did a great job.
He did. I told Dale that night. I said the show was good.
Yeah,
I said
absolutely. But you know, we've come to expect the recap, and we know you travel a lot of miles, buddy, and we do appreciate it.
Yep.
And once again, man, welcome back.
Yes,
all right, Brian Hester, folks, and we do appreciate all that he does, man. He brings some detailed information. Where else are you going to hear a story about Leo getting in trouble like that? You had to have been there. Right now, we're going to change gears. And yes, we're going to be joined right now. Come on up, Mr. MacDonald. If you will, I'm going to ask you if you'll sit over here with us. And come on up there and have a seat.
Watch the bottles down there.
Okay, yeah. There's some stuff there under the cabinet. Again, if you are just joining us here at the Deep Dixie Racing Report, you tuned in on a great night. I am joined right now by a racing legend. I've heard a lot about him, and I had an opportunity to meet him for the first time just a few minutes ago. They were having supper, and cool. And Mr. Eddie, thank you so much for being here with us tonight, man. And it is a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
I guess the first thing that I want to say, we have been very blessed and fortunate that in 8 weeks, this is actually our 9th week of doing this show. We have had the privilege to talking to some pretty legendary drivers in racing. And a few weeks back, we had the privilege of talking to Mr. Red Farmer. And I know that you came along in that era. You spent some time in NASCAR. First of all, just for the people that may not know your story, if you don't mind, tell us how long you've been racing and in what venues that you did race in.
I've raced for about 35 years.
Okay.
Altogether. I quit in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
The last race I won was Augusta. No, not Augusta.
Augusta.
But you basically you pretty much stopped as far as driving around 1980. If you're just tuning in, I'm joined live by Mr. Eddie MacDonald,
Senior.
Eddie MacDonald Sr. And actually, Dale, do we still have our screen within the screen right now?
We do. It's
Okay. It's over my shoulder, but you'll see, and for anybody that's watching and you'd like to stop by Rescue Smokehouse Grill, it's exit 75, Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. will be more than happy to give you an autograph. You'll be able to see the car that has been restored, and it's a car number 90. It's out here in the back. And actually, Keith Kendrick and Jerry Ivey, they helped out with that. Mr. MacDonald, what can you tell us about that car? What are some of the memories that you have in that car out there? It's the exact same car. And Dale, do you have that pulled up on the website or the Facebook page? If you will go to the website or to the Facebook page a little bit later on, Dale Hall is going to get you a picture of Mr. Eddie standing by that car, and I think that was the early 60s. But what is some of your memories about that race car out there, Mr. Eddie?
Well, I won state championship, I think 2 years in a row, wasn't it? 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that was NASCAR sanctioned track at that time. And that gave me a guaranteed start position at Daytona Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd qualified so fast, I think I'd be running 130 miles an hour to get in the race.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that you were originally you were born and raised up north. Is that right?
Yeah, state of Maine.
In the state of Maine. Now, how does somebody? I guess the state of Maine, if I'm trying to remember my geography, that is about as close to Canada as you can get and not be in Canada, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Very, very close. So how does a gentleman from the state of Maine end up in Middle Georgia in the heart of racing? What brought you down to Georgia?
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam. All right. So what branch of the service were you in?
The Army.
The Army. Thank you for your service, sir. We really appreciate that. I understand Dale was telling me too that the Reagan family, they had a little bit to do with helping you get started up, or excuse me, the Thomas, I'm sorry, the Thomas family over at Phoenix City, Alabama. When you got down in the South, you crossed paths with those guys. And what can you tell us about those early days when you got hooked up with the Thomas family?
Well,
And
I used to walk from Fort Benning. I was just stationed in Fort Benning then. I used to walk into Columbus trying to find a ride, a car to drive, something at that time. And I found this one car finally. Jimmy Thomas had a car, but he wouldn't let me drive that. And, I found another one that had a car lot. They said the car was real fast, but it didn't handle too good. So I worked on it, come out from Fort Benning when I could get off, and worked on the car and set it up and took it out to Columbus to practice with it after I got it set up. And Jimmy Thomas told stories in the meantime. You don't want to let them Yankees drive your car. They just take it out there and wreck it. They take the girlfriend with them, tell them they drove to Indianapolis or someplace. And they'll just take the car out and wreck it for you. They ain't no drivers. So I took the car out and practiced this one night. And riding around there, warming it up around the track. And going down the back chute, I got on it pretty hard. And wanted to go into number 3 turn, and the accelerator hung wide open. I stuffed it right through the wall. Wow. Tore it all to pieces, the front end. I just put a front axle under it. So we got another axle for me, the man that owned the car, and I fixed it the following week. We had a race coming up. Jimmy had a car there, and I think Walt Kruger was driving it at the time. And I had this car out there, and I run second to his car that night. And then from then on, Jimmy kept his eye on me. The following year, he wanted me to drive his car here in Columbus. Jimmy did. And, so I got with him and worked in the shop with him and all. And so I stayed with him for a good while. And he built East Alabama racetrack. And that was, I got done with him before that, before he left and went to Alabama. I went down to Tifton.
Right.
Got with Kendrick. We built a new shop down there. The shop is still running. Somebody doing mechanic work. About to fall down. I think it's an unlocked building.
Gotcha. If you're just tuning in, we're joined by racing legend Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. And let me give you just a little bit of this man's resume. It's really quite incredible. Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. He's a former driver, owner, builder, and promoter, charter member of the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, vice president of the South Georgia chapter, member of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association. He's a three-time Hall of Famer, raced for 31 years, logged over 1,150 wins at 150 tracks from Maine to Miami and as far west as Mississippi. And Mr. Eddie, one of the things that I do so enjoy about our sport, I love to go back and see old footage of those races. And when we had Red Farmer with us on a telephone interview a few weeks back, I asked him a lot of the same questions. But in all of your years of racing and all of the people that you come across, racing Daytona and even that story getting hooked up with the Thomas family, is there any one particular race, or is there any one particular era of time when racing was coming? You raced several decades. Is there anything that stands out to you, like a big win or something maybe that happened that just stands out that you remember well?
Well, there's one that don't stand out too much more than any other, I don't think. I raced at Jacksonville Speedway quite often, won quite often down there. We had a big race, 200 or 300 laps of Vietnam. Bobby Allison came down, Red Farmer. Quite a few top drivers come down to race. They always showed up. People from California even come at Jacksonville, because that was the most competitive 60s to early 70s. But we was running late models then, and I had I don't know what I had, a 55 or a Chevelle then. But anyway, Bobby and I was racing, sitting out front, and we had the same idea about finishing the race. And finally, a lot of cars fell out, and Bobby took the lead at that time. Well, 10 laps to go, we had a restart, and I caught Bobby and passed him. And I won the race.
Wow.
And, but that was one big race, really. Outrun Bobby. He had a new car today. They said they spent 2 weeks on the car. And he took it down to Miami, down to his hometown where he originated from. He was racing someplace down there, West Long Beach or somewhere. And he brought it back by the shop, and the car wasn't 3 feet off the trailer. It was towed.
Wow.
He rolled it or something down there. West Long Beach, I think it was.
Right.
That was that same car that he run second to me.
That's incredible stories. If you're just tuning into the Deep Dixie Racing Report, we're joined live by a legend. And Mr. Eddie, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, sir?
I just turned 85.
85 years old, and you're still around the racetrack even to this day, aren't you? I mean,
Yeah, I go to races about every weekend.
Okay.
If I can. stay aggravated all the time.
I got you. And that's Watermelon Capital right up the road. Is that right?
Yeah, I go up there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that just recently we actually devoted a portion of one of our shows. I think that would have been 2 weeks ago. Sadly, we lost a member of our racing family, Mr. Marvin Reagan.
He's a
And
good friend of mine.
yeah, and I know that you guys were close, and we were actually able to speak to David Reagan last week, and we appreciate David for tuning in and giving us a little bit of time. But if any of the Reagan family is watching tonight, our thoughts and prayers are still with you. And another friend of Marvin Reagan's here. Before I let you get out of here, Mr. Eddie, I know that you mentioned that by virtue of winning some points championships and things like that, you automatically were qualified to race at Daytona. And then you mentioned earlier that even then there was a minimum speed. You had to be able to maintain a certain speed. What was it like for a man like you that had raced on short tracks? You had raced and won and had a lot of success, but what was your thoughts when you first drove in to Daytona International Speedway? Was it intimidating? Was it a little frightening? And how did you do when you raced there?
I done pretty fair. I built a car. It's a 37 Ford Coupe.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think I qualified 138 miles an hour. And that was like a paper box trying to blow it through the air. There's no air control at all.
Right.
With that type of body.
Right.
It had a Homer Moody engine in it.
Mm-hmm.
312 Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I finally blowed it, and I was running 10th, I think, when I blew out of 50 cars. So, that was that one race. Of course, I raced Daytona quite a few years. I won 1974. I drove down there that 1 year. And we come there late. We planned on being there late.
Mm-hmm.
So we called them in ahead of time and told them we was going to be late. And they postponed our paperwork and all that. Set us up. We were still in the race. And we got down there and I qualified 10th out of 200 and something cars.
Mm-hmm.
That was there qualifying.
Right.
For 50 positions. I qualified 10th. Anyway, they come around there with a lineup sheet, tell you what position run in on Saturday just before the race started. I said, I thought you was running pretty good. And some of my crew was there, and they said, yeah, we were running pretty good. I said, well, I haven't got you on the list. They looked at the list, all them down, they handed it to me. I couldn't find my name on the list either. There's something wrong here. I wound up going to headquarters, go back through the tunnel and go to headquarters. Headquarters was right outside the tunnel end.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to get into a fight with a fellow sitting at the desk. I forget now who it was. And he had a whole stack of papers, but he never would get my papers out. And I called Bill France. He's a real good friend of mine, old Bill France. And couldn't get him. He was in conference. I finally got him Sunday and Monday, I think it was, and he got to talk to the fellow that I was talking to that wouldn't let me in the race. And he about fired him because he knew I was eligible to be in the race.
Right. Right.
And he wound up sending me a check for 10th position.
Wow. How about that? If you don't mind me asking, what would a check for finishing 10th at Daytona pay back then?
I think it was about $20-something.
Oh, really? Okay. Man, things have certainly changed, haven't they? Folks, if you are just tuning in, we've been talking to Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr., 85 years old. He has a very, very decorated resume in racing. And Mr. Eddie, if you don't mind, I don't know, I expect that probably traffic is going to pick up here in a little bit. But if we have some people that come along a little bit later, would it be okay if they got an autograph from you? And okay, and he'll even do better than that. Can I keep this one?
Yeah.
This is a card, and it's got some old photographs, got some old pictures of the cars. It's actually signed. Yes, Dale.
And I'll be glad to take pictures of any of them that want to with him by the car.
Okay. Anybody that would like to come and get a photograph taken with Mr. Eddie, Dale Hall is an excellent photographer, and he'll be glad to do that for you. Yes.
I finished fifth with that car at Daytona.
Okay.
Ford. And that was a Grand National I run.
Okay.
Daytona, Darlington, Atlanta.
Cool. Let me show the camera that. If you can see, it'll be the top, I guess, right-hand corner. That what I would say would be like a Carolina Blue 24 car. Mr. Eddie finished in fifth in that car. So, man, some interesting stories. I could sit here and talk to you all night, and we really do appreciate you taking time to join us. And Dale, I understand that we have got some gentlemen that are responsible for restoring that car, Mr. Keith Kendrick and Jerry Ivey. And if we can, I'd like to get those guys up here once we say goodbye to Mr. MacDonald. Mr. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. We appreciate it. And a great storyteller. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie MacDonald Sr. has a decorated resume. Let me run it down for you once again. He is a former driver, owner, builder, and promoter, charter member of the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, vice president of the South Georgia chapter, a member of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association. He is a three-time Hall of Famer, raced for 31 years with over 1,150 wins at more than 150 tracks from Maine to Miami, all the way west to Mississippi. Great storyteller. Told us about a big win in Jacksonville where he beat Bobby Allison when it come down to about a 10-lap shootout on a late race caution. And he's here tonight, exit 75 at the Rescue Smokehouse Grill here in beautiful, I guess it's Sycamore, Georgia. And if you haven't had supper tonight, come on down here, grab you something real good to eat. I'm going to go ahead and invite the other gentleman up. Come on up, sir. And if you'll just have a seat there with us. And it's good to have you. Tell us your name.
Keith Kendrick.
Keith Kendrick. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just to bring you up to speed on what's going on, the Deep Dixie Racing Report, appreciate you tuning in. We are joined right now by Mr. Keith Kendrick. And Keith, I understand that you had a big hand in restoring this race car out here. When you go to take something like that, I don't imagine that parts for a car like that are readily available. Where do you begin to restore a car like that?
Really, you go and you look around for the guys who's been in the racing for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Race car guys don't throw away stuff.
Right.
You know, so they've always got stuff laying around that will help out.
Right.
And putting it together. So with this car here, really all we found of it was the body, just the sheet metal and the roll cage. Mm-hmm. And so we found it and then got Mr. Eddie to go look at it. And he verified that was the car because of the cage,
mm-hmm.
some other things that he saw on it that he knew was it. So that's how we knew that's what it was.
Right.
So, if it hadn't have been for Mac Simpson, he runs the yellow 19 in the Skeeter car classes now. If it hadn't have been for him, this car would have never been gotten put together.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have been hanging in the barn still.
Yeah. We're joined right now by Mr. Keith Kendrick, and Keith is, among other things in racing, he had a major hand in restoring the number 90 car that Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. drove. And Keith, if you don't mind, tell us what year model, what make it is, and what can you tell us about that car?
I guess for Mr. Eddie, it's a 32 three-window coupe.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is. And the body is original. The cage is original. The chassis is an original chassis from Taylor. Clifford Taylor. It's orange 27. We found that in Hayhire with Jimmy Alexander had that, and he helped us out with that. So the chassis is original, the body's original. The tires and wheels, or the wheels, actually came off of Mac Simpson's car, one of the old steel body car. When people found out we were putting this car together, you'd be amazed at people who just had stuff that would say, you know, take this and get this car put together and back in running condition.
Right.
And again, the body work on it, the fenders, the back right fender was completely gone. The firewall was replaced. A lot of stuff had been replaced, but 35–40% of it is original. All the style lines, the windows, the top, all that stuff is original on the car.
If you're just tuning in, I'm having a discussion right now with Mr. Keith Kendrick, and Keith helped to restore a 1932 three-window coupe driven by Mr. Eddie MacDonald Jr. I know this may be a question that there probably isn't an actual start and an actual finish, but if you had to put a timeline on it, from the time that you guys found what was left of this car until we see it like it is now, how long would you say that it took you guys to do that?
We found the car, and I'm going to about two and a half years. It was over at Mac Simpson's for over a year, just for the body work and putting this thing together. So, so we've got about a good 2 years in it. You know, it sit a long time just hanging in my barn before we started really working on it.
What was the most difficult part of the restoration, or what was the most difficult part of the car to find that gave you the biggest challenge?
The biggest thing with the car is the sheet metal. All the style lines, if you'll notice on the back fenders, those style lines are there. All that was gone. All that has been done by hand. That took the most time. And when Mac was doing this thing, we asked, you know, what do you want? What kind of sheet metal? You can go buy new sheet metal. And he just says, no, go to the junkyard, find me a truck bed, and we'll work with it from that. And that's where it all came from. Now,
not being a body man by any means, but I do know that if you take a look at our race cars today, you know, most guys have big sheet metal brakes and things like that. I'm guessing that those sort of things were very, very minimal, as far as there was probably just a lot of elbow grease, standing back, eyeballing it, trying to get that right contour.
Right. As the fenders curl and the back of the cab makes that turn around, that's just, I mean, he's got small pieces that may not be, but 6x6 or 6x12, that is piece by piece, and making that turn, making those curls in there. It's basically, to me, it's an artwork to make things like that happen.
Absolutely. We're joined right now by Mr. Keith Kendrick, and one of the things I know that you've got to be very proud of, he helped restore, had a big hand in restoring a 1932 three-window coupe driven by Eddie MacDonald Sr. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I know we've got a screen within a screen, but right out here in the parking lot behind us, you can come see that car. We're located on exit 75 on Interstate 75. Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. is here, a legend, 85 years old. And he actually has these really cool cards that are made up. I've got one that's signed and got a bunch of photographs. He'll be glad to take a picture with you. Dale Hall, one of the producers of the Dixie Racing Report. Dale's a great photographer. If you want to come tonight and get a picture with Mr. Eddie MacDonald with that car. Keith, before I let you get out of here, I guess the question is this. We never know who all's tuning in and watching right now, but word travels fast, and especially with social media. Somebody somewhere has had in the back of their mind, man, I would like to get my car restored. I know of a friend that has an old coupe from that era or whatever. Is this something that you guys just did as a labor of love for Mr. Eddie, or do you actually do this?
No, we just, it's a labor of love. With Mr. Eddie and Laverne, my uncle that owned the cars, and Mr. Eddie driving them, and that's what we did it for. I mean, we've been looking for any of these cars for years and just can't find any of the originals. And then when we found this one, we put everything else aside to get this one done. I've got it's a 60, got a Nova. Was it a 60, Jerry? 66 Nova. It's a gold 90 that we started on that Rance Phillips drove. And we were going to do that one. And but then when we found the original car, we jumped on it and really pushed it, pretty hard. But we've got this car. I've got the Nova. I actually run a Thunderbird Gold 90, and I've got a sedan Skeeter car that Johnny Tolliver drives for me, and all of them are Gold 90s.
Gotcha. I got to ask you, man, before I let you get out of here. Between 2 and 2.5 years working on this thing, I mean, there was days you didn't work on it. You were waiting on a piece or waiting on, the guy to do something so that you could move to the next step. When it was all said and done, and you guys wiped the dust off of it for the final time, there's got to be a great feeling of accomplishment. But there's also probably somewhat of a feeling of letdown because you've worked so hard. It's been such to the front of your mind that when you actually got done, were you a little disappointed that it was done?
No, because we got 3 more that we have to keep going on the track.
I got you.
We got the other cars, the 2 that we run every other week, and then the other Chevy 2 that we're going to try to start working on. Not anytime soon, but it's got a original Roscoe Smith chassis, and the body is sitting on the chassis and it's ready to be finished up.
Okay.
But the other cars we run, you got to keep those things going. That's why I kind of ran a little late today because we were working on one.
Never a shortage of dents to fix and something to fix. You've done a great job. Keith, I appreciate you joining us, man. Mr. Keith Kendrick and his uncle actually owned this car. It was driven by Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. It's here at the Smokehouse, Rescue Smokehouse Grill, exit 75. You can come. Be glad for you to get a closer look, a photograph. And Mr. Eddie MacDonald is here with you. He'll be glad to get in that picture with you. Keith, thank you very much. At this time, Jerry, come on up if you will. And we're very blessed tonight to have these gentlemen to come and be with us. Jerry, I don't think you and I have had the pleasure to meet Pastor Todd Sharon.
Glad to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, sir. We're joined right now by Mr. Jerry Ivey. And I know, Jerry, you had a hand in that restoration. But my buddy Dale Hall tells me that you are somewhat of a historian in the racing world. And before I get you to tell us about that, those of you that are just joining us right now on the Deep Dixie Racing Report, this first hour has pretty much been spent. We've been talking to Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. If you don't know who he is, I'm sure you could Google his name. He was in that era of racing when NASCAR was just getting started. He has won a ton of races, and a real special treat for us here at Deep Dixie Racing Report. We have a car that he drove. It's a 1932 3-window coupe that has been totally restored, put back like new. It's here in the parking lot, and Mr. Keith Kendrick had a big hand in that. Jerry did too, but joining us now is Mr. Jerry Ivey. Jerry, when we talk about race historians, there's so many different genres of racing. What would be in your wheelhouse? Is it dirt track racing? Is it NASCAR? What is it?
Well, actually, dirt track. Me and Keith are first cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Our granddaddy and Laverne were brothers. Our granddaddy was the oldest, and Laverne was the baby of the family.
Okay.
So when I was, as long as I can remember, I've been going to dirt track racing. I've got pictures of me when I was 5 years old at the racetrack at I-75.
Right.
So it's just been in my blood. I mean, Mama said that she was toting me when I was a baby when we went to the races every Saturday night. So once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get out. And I remember before Uncle Laverne passed away, he gave me a picture of one of his race cars. He said, "This is the only picture that I have of Gold 90, and I want you to have it." And that just piqued my interest. Then Mr. Aubrey Holly, when they started the Georgia Race Hall of Fame Association, he said, "Jerry, we need somebody take this history down because it's going to be lost. And since then, just to the Gold 90 itself, I think I've got over about 150 pictures.
Wow.
He started racing in 02 to 1982. I got him at the because I hear the people, oh Lord, I had some pictures and I threw them away, or Mama threw them, and it's just it's lost history, and that's what got me into it.
Now, have you ever been associated with racing in any other way, a driver, a pit crew member, or have you pretty much been a scholar?
I helped Uncle Laverne a little bit on the pit crew in '76, and then I met my wife, and I found out dating and finna get married and racing just don't work too good.
Gotcha.
First you get married and then you go right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. In all of your years of following up and everything, one of the things that comes to my mind when I think about what you're talking about, Cracker Barrel restaurants. Right. Anytime I'm on the highway and I go to a different Cracker Barrel store, it's incredible to look up into the ceiling and see the things on display there. And someone once told me that they have full-time employees that go out scouring, looking, trying to find estate sales and stuff like that. Now, I'm guessing that racing photographs, racing memorabilia, that's not something that's just everybody's got laying around. Right. What has been some of your best finds, and where did you find it?
Well, I got interested because Keith's, his uncle's uncle, he was a race promoter in Tifton, Mr. Ed Evans. Mm-hmm. And he passed away probably in the 70s or so, but then his wife passed away and his uncle got photographs. And Mr. Ed, as promoter, his wife went with him in 1949. And when they opened a trunk cut, there was 300 pictures of racing in it. Wow. Suicide Circle, Albany, the Cordell racetrack at the Veterans State Park, Ocilla. It was in Eastman and over in Jessup. Matter of fact, they had a racing association in 1949 in Tifton. I even heard that Bill France even went and talked to Mr. Evans about joining in with them. Wow. But they run a regular circuit around here every week. They just like NASCAR. And I actually, and something else, Miss Grace Smith in Tifton, she had actual footage of them running at Suicide Circle in 1950. Really? That is the earliest motion picture that I have in South Georgia. Now, here's something a lot of people see. This is things that would be lost. A lot of people say, when did racing first come to South Georgia? Did you know in 1911, they had a thing called the Glidden Cup. They raced from New York City to Jacksonville. You said Glidden as in like Glidden, the paint company? Glidden, yes, sir. Okay. They raced from New York City to Jacksonville. And they come right through here on the National Highway. And they was people from Tifton. Henry Tiff was running in the race. People from Ashburn. People from Hayhire. People from Albany. And then people from Virginia, Massachusetts, New York. They were all over. They raced through. And I think it was that 1911 or 1912 they were running through here. And they were in Tifton and south of Tifton when the officials got through out of the car and got killed. One of the first tragedies that happened here. But man, people was in horse and buggies in it. And here come these guys coming through town. And they're actual, there's a postcard, I see it on eBay some, of them all up in Cordell in the streets in the open car sitting there. Wow. And a few pictures in Valdosta. Now that is something that I didn't know, and I've never heard anybody else say anything about that. If you're just joining us, right now we're having a very interesting conversation with Mr. Jerry Ivey. He is a racing historian that has focused a lot of his efforts on racing in Georgia and more specifically South Georgia. Jerry, I got to ask you, when you mentioned some of those tracks, I live up around Warner Robins, which is right in the middle of the state. Right. At one point, they had a track in Byron, Georgia. Did you have any photographs of that, or what do you know about that? Yeah, I remember going as a boy up there with Uncle Laverne and all of them one time, and my granddaddy. And I remember going up there and seeing the race up in there. I do have some pictures of that track up in there in my collection and everything that I have. Now, I think there was another racetrack in Houston County where the high school is now. Really? I think they had a racetrack and a drag strip there.
Wow.
Now, what I do is I start tracking down these old tracks, and I go to Google Earth
Right.
and track them. But I found something better. You can go to a site called Gallo, and what it is, they have history of Georgia in 1949 and 50, all the way back at the military. Two of those, you can go back and you can Austin from that area that raced the old fairgrounds in Valdosta, kind of on the east side of Valdosta. There was a young boy that was killed there in 1921, and they were running. The Masons were coming to town. They was like 5,000 Masons that come, and they were having a race, and he was practicing, and turned over down there and died a little while later. And I had no idea there was even. I was raced up in Hayhiren, but I had no idea there was a racetrack there.
It's incredible what you're saying. I have heard rumors, and when I say rumors, it's from people that are credible people, but you have really no way to verify it. I've heard of things like that too. Before we let you get out of here, Jerry, by the way, we're joined by Jerry Ivey, a racing historian, also very closely connected to the Eddie MacDonald Sr. Racing team. They're all kind of a member of the family. Matter of fact, it was your uncle that owned the car,
yes,
Laverne, okay? And they have actually restored that car. It's a 1932 three-window coupe, and they've been kind enough to bring it up here to Exit 75, the Rescues Smokehouse Grill. If you're out and about and you'd like to come by and get a photograph, maybe speak to Mr. Eddie MacDonald himself. He is here with us. He is a racing legend. And Jerry, one of the things that I want to give you an opportunity to do, and anybody that may be tuned in, I'm guessing that anything that you could get that would add to your collection would probably be a huge blessing.
Yep.
If there's anybody out there right now that maybe you had a neighbor or a family member that was heavily involved in racing, maybe just loosely connected, maybe you found something at a yard sale or whatever, and you know that it would be beneficial to something that Jerry's doing. Jerry, do you have a website, or do you have a way that they can contact you?
I sure do. My email address is Ivey, Ivey 90 @yahoo.com. And anything I get, I keep a record of. And I don't know if Mr. Gordon Perkle up in Dawsonville, Georgia Racing Hall of Fame. I know Mr. Gordon pretty well. And anything I get, I try to put in there for them to have. And I want to say this too. If I can help anybody out there find pictures of their relatives' cars, please contact me. I will be glad to look and see if because I'm not one to hoard. It's like I heard a preacher say one time, how can you receive something if your hand's always closed?
That's right.
So you got to keep that hand open to receive.
You're right. You're
and
right.
I'll be glad to help anybody in their family history, racing, or anything.
Very cool. And again, I personally, and maybe some of the guys that's here with us, and you guys can't see the crowd out here, but we got race drivers and owners and builders and everything else. I have never personally met someone that's doing what you're doing, and I work at a racetrack and have for many years. I think that it's really, really outstanding that you're doing this. And once again, if you have any kind of old photographs, any kind of old newspaper clippings, or something that you think that would fit with in the Georgia racing history, you can contact Jerry. It's Ivey, and I'll spell it out to you, Ivey 90, the number 90, Ivey 90 @yahoo.com. And that's not just to maybe offer up something that you may have. Maybe you've got a question about something, and I got to tell you, man, I wish we had more time, Jerry. I can tell by listening to you, you've got a ton of stories, and maybe we can do this again sometime. But Mr. Jerry Ivey, Mr. Keith Kendrick, Eddie MacDonald Sr., the race driver that won over 1,150 races, has raced at Daytona, was in that golden era of NASCAR, has really seen a lot of things in his 85 years, joined us tonight. The car is here that's been restored, a 1932 three-window coupe. It's in the parking lot, and I'm guessing you can see it now on the screen within the screen. And these guys will be glad to talk to you and tell you about what they know. And Jerry, thank you so
Yes,
much
sir,
for joining us,
Glad to
man.
be
We
here.
sure do appreciate it. Mr. Jerry Ivey, he is a racing historian here in South Georgia. And we've got another member of this family. This is Mr. Eddie MacDonald's son, Eddie Jr. And while he's coming up to join us here, again, we want to say thank you to all of you that are tuning in to the Deep Dixie Racing Report. Pastor Todd Sharon, your host here, along with Dale Hall, the producer, and Brian Hester, my teammate. And we've had a great show. Real quick, let me recap. We talked to Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. He's here at the Rescue Smokehouse Grill. The car that he drove back in the day, it has been restored. It is documented that it is the car that he drove. Keith, Kendrick, and Jerry Ivey, among others, helped to restore that car, and it's really cool, man. You got to come check it out. And, of course, we did talk with Keith a little bit. He told us a little bit about how the journey went, getting that car back together, finding the parts, trying to make parts they didn't have. And actually his cousin, Jerry Ivey, who is a racing historian, told us a lot about what happened around back in the day here in South Georgia and Georgia as a whole. And if anybody has anything that you could contribute, whether it be a photograph, a newspaper article, or whatever, that's the kind of stuff he's looking at. By the same token, if you have a question, I know of no better person to ask, because I don't know of anybody else that has that kind of history. Right now, we're joined by Mr. Eddie MacDonald Jr. Mr. Eddie, it's a pleasure to see you, sir. Met he and his wife and his dad here a little while ago. Mr. MacDonald, I guess the first question, what is it like being the son of somebody like Eddie MacDonald Sr.? We have a lot of second-generation drivers, but fortunately for you, your dad is still with you at 85 years old, and there is a wealth of history. Did you ever make any of those trips to Daytona and some of those places?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
It was a lot different back then than it is now. It wasn't, you didn't have the TV or nothing. Just
Right.
going to a regular race.
Right.
You know? But it was fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a big thing, but it's not like it is now.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised some of them old cars that raced on that track. You wouldn't think they could.
Absolutely incredible, man. When you see some of the old footage, I was looking at something, I don't even know how I come across it, and they were talking about Mercury comets. And I mean, back in the day, remember when AMC was in and they'd have the Matadors and things like that. But growing up in a racing family like that, did you ever drive at all?
Yeah, I drove pretty good bit.
Okay.
Several years. I got some NASCAR championship.
Really? Okay.
It's what they call Xfinity now.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be Grand National.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I got a few trophies from that.
Cool.
Like he'd win the championship one year and I'd win it the next.
Uh-huh.
And both my brothers, they race too.
Okay.
And I got a son that raced, so it's pretty well in the family all the time.
Now, when you drove in what is now the Xfinity, that would have been what, the Busch Grand National back then?
Yeah.
That's as far back as I remember. What years did you race in that series?
I think I started in 1971,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up in the 90s.
So that would have put
I wasn't
you
in that series, but that's how long.
right. That would have put you racing against people like Sam Ard and some of those other guys that I mean, back in the day, Tommy Houston and the list goes on and on and on. And all
the Grand National boys in the wintertime when they got off from NASCAR racing, they'd all come to Jacksonville and race all winter long, you know. But Donnie Lund, Curtis Turner, Benny Parsons, all of them would come down there. Sam Summers.
Gotcha.
But it's a pretty strong place. You know, the baddest there was in the country come down there and race.
Yeah, I mean, it nowadays, like you say, everything has changed. But I remember as a child going to Charlotte Motor Speedway back in the 70s, man. And I know that as far as the classes, the Winston Cup obviously was the top tier.
Yeah.
And then you had the Grand National. But seeing those cars on the track, I can remember even as an adult that out at Charlotte that some of those guys would get those Grand National cars hooked up and they wouldn't be running maybe a mile or two off of what the Winston Cup boys were doing. What was some of your most memorable races? Did you ever race at Daytona?
No, I had a guaranteed starting position down there one year for being the champion, and I didn't need to be there. You know, I had some good friends, got some bad wrecks down there. They didn't need to be.
Right.
But I guess the biggest race I won was the Curtis Turner Memorial NASCAR National Championship.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 150 laps. That was my first win.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, I won several championships, second and third, all, you know, up through the years while it was NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
And then just run some outlaw races. Mostly when I started, we raced on oil-based tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Big half-mile 5/8, like Brunswick.
Right. Golden out. Mm-hmm.
And then got to learning on clay a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a little while to get used to the clay. But I think I quit probably 95 or something.
Gotcha.
And
we're joined right now by Mr. Eddie MacDonald Jr. We've had the privilege of visiting with his dad, Eddie Sr. He's actually here. We have a car that he drove back in the day that's been restored. It is a 1932 coupe, gold number 90. And you can come out and see that car. They're here right now. Now, Eddie, when I think about that era of Busch Grand National, that was back when they were going to places like South Boston, Virginia, and Hickory, and places like that. Is that right?
yeah, all the NASCAR cars, if you was NASCAR sanctioned, all the cars are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You could take them to Daytona or you could run them on dirt.
Right. Right.
But we all went by the same rules.
Okay.
And the weight rules, I mean, that's like 3,400 pounds, just like you are now.
Mm-hmm.
But you can run them anywhere. It's pretty. You go anywhere in the country, run.
Right. Just hearing you say that you hung the helmet up about 20 years ago. What do you do with yourself now? What's life like now after racing?
Well, I'm the one that runs Watermelon Capital Speedway.
Okay. All right. Well, our condolences on losing Mr. Marvin Reagan. And incidentally, we had an opportunity. It was, there's been many highlights on this show. We've just had it going for a little while. We got a chance to talk to David Reagan last Saturday. And and thank you for setting that up. And that couldn't have come at a better time, you know, with the announcement that he's going with Michael Waltrip Racing. What a super nice guy that entire family is. And next time you see Marvin's family closer, again, give them our condolences. That is a great track down there. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking to Stevie Jones here in a little bit. And he was a driver that raced when it was dirt, raced when it was asphalt. And I know that you guys have got a big race that came up. I guess y'all started at what, 7, 8 years ago, 9, something like that. The wintertime race where all the big guys come into Watermelon Speed Fest. Yeah. I know that is a big deal. But Watermelon Capital ain't but what, 30 minutes down the road, 30, 40 minutes down the road. What's coming up on y'all's schedule over there now, Eddie?
June the 6th, we got a Southern Super Late Model Series coming. It's about like the Speed Fest we had.
Okay.
It's the elite of the late model, asphalt late model cars. And I don't know what the driver list is, but a lot of times the NEMA checks and all them will come back running races for free. Right. But it'll be a race next to as big as the Speed Fest we had in January.
Okay.
And that's the next biggest race we've got planned right now.
Got it. And do y'all race every weekend or
every other weekend? Every other weekend.
Yeah. Okay. And so guys, keep an eye out. Do y'all have a website?
Go to chrismotorsportspark.com. If you want to get in touch with me, go to Eddie at chrismotorsportspark.com. And I think the website's down right now, but you can find out the information. We're running this Saturday night for Mother's Day race.
Okay.
We're going to honor the mothers up there this weekend.
On right now by former and has come from a historic family, Mr. Eddie, promoting at Watermelon Capital Speedway. Very easy to get to that track right off of Interstate 75 in Cordele, Georgia. I have been over there and watched you run asphalt, and it's exciting, man. It's a good time over there. Very well run facility. and they race every other weekend. They will be running this coming Saturday night, Mother's Day weekend. Weather's going to be gorgeous. Would be a good time for you to go out and take in some good racing if you're around the South Georgia area. And Mr. Eddie, I really do appreciate you and your wife and your dad and the others coming out and joining us. This has been a real treat for us. We enjoy talking to drivers. We enjoy talking to track owners and promoters. But one of the things that Dale and I talked about when we began, we want to bring another perspective to racing. And in my mind, one of the biggest deals in racing is the history. Yeah. And it's incredible to see how far the sport has come. And for you to come in and share some of your history with us and to come out on a Thursday night, we really do appreciate it, man. And anytime that we can help promote your track down at Watermelon Capital, we really want to do that. And thank you for joining us. I hope we can do it again real soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eddie MacDonald Jr. joining us on the Deep Dixie Racing Report. And Dale, I got about 8:25, something like that. I tell you what I think we're going to do now. We're going to take a short timeout, try to see if we can get us something cold to drink real quick. And we're going to come back and we're going to finish off the show. It's been a great show thus far. Our thanks to Eddie MacDonald Sr. and Jr., also Mr. Jerry Ivey and Keith Kendrick that have talked to us all about racing history, restoring that 1932 coupe, and hearing a lot of great stories about racing over the years. We really do appreciate their input. Coming up on the home stretch, we're going to be talking to Stevie Jones. He is a late model driver, and he will be joining us. And after that, we're going to be visiting with our current five-star Hyundai Bomber Points champion, Mr. Hunter Cossette out of Bon Air, Georgia. He's going to join us, going to talk about his championship run last year, as well as moving up into another class. And hopefully we'll be able to finish this evening out with our good buddy, Mr. Brian Thomas from East Alabama Motor Speedway, our good friends over there. They're going to check in with us toward the end of the show. Again, thank you to everybody that is tuning in. Again, our thanks to Mike Hurd and the fine folks at Five Star Hyundai in Warner Robins, Georgia. Award-winning service before, during, and after the sale. They're a good place to look. If you're looking for a new vehicle, it's worth the short drive to Warner Robins to check it out. And we could not go without mentioning our good friends at the Rescues Smokehouse Grill. Raymond and Amy Poor, they've been in this location for what, Dale, 3-4 months now. They were in downtown Ashburn, now located just off the interstate, exit 75 on Interstate 75. I've got about 8:28. They're going to be open until 10 o'clock tonight. Bring your family and your friends out. Come on out. Grab you something good to eat. Meet a racing legend, actually two of them, Eddie MacDonald Sr. and Jr., and they've got a nice vintage race car out here. It's been fully restored. Welcome to get a picture with it, and it'll be a good time. Come on out. You got about an hour and a half to do all of that, and we would love to have you. All right, we're going to take a short time out. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we will move right along with our interview with Stevie Jones. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back in a minute.
You need a break?
Yeah, man. What's up, folks? Next week, I'm going to tell you now, I am going to do the national anthem over. I started too high on an octave. I have not crashed on that song in probably 5 years, man. I'm serious. Usually when I sing it, I got those speakers in my ear, and I knew when I started that blood guts wasn't on. I sing that. How's it been so far? I hope they can hear it.
I did get one commercial, 30 seconds. So we got a minute and a half to leave before
Oh, really? What did he say? You said what to him? Start over again?
Told that y'all really want to get aboard.
Yeah.
He's like, what is it that they really want? I think, a little bit of help responsibility and all that, to help the show along and everything.
Pays expensive for people to get down.
I had just talked to him. I stopped by there on the way down.
Well, he said he passed on word on to people that own it because they like doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
I said, well, I told Pastor Todd to stop in next Thursday on the way down and talk to you a little bit about, kind of what they
I really feel good about it. I think I mean, here's what it comes down to. And I'm gonna get some. And I like them because they're Christian owned. I like them because they just don't sell people in the store. It's a great store.
you get plenty of sponsorship out there.
We got time with that, so he's going to call me and talk about this trade. I haven't heard back from Ryan, so that might be a good thing.
We're ready to be back.
As soon as you are.
You ready? They'll come in when we're ready. All right, folks, welcome back to the Deep Dixie Racing Report, brought to you by 5-Star Hyundai, 650 Russell Parkway in Warner Robins, Georgia. Pastor Todd Sharon, along with my good buddy Dale Hall and Brian Hester. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Of course, we are broadcasting live from the Rescue Smokehouse Grill, exit 75 on Interstate 75, and we do appreciate their welcoming us here, their hospitality. It is a great place to come and eat, guys. If you've not come down and visited this restaurant, you need to do it. Award-winning barbecue cooks, man. These guys have got a check-in here commemorating a $50,000 win cooking barbecue. That's not bad. Whatever you pick is going to be good. They have steaks, they have barbecue, they've got brisket, they've got all kinds of things for you to pick from. Outstanding desserts. So they're going to be open until 10 o'clock. You still got time to come down here and check it out. Again, our thanks to those of you that have tuned in, and we do appreciate you watching. I believe this is show number 9, and we thank all of you for supporting us and helping us out. You will be able to go back if you miss any part of the show, or if you miss the entire show. Thankfully, Dale Hall, our producer, who is very, very much involved, he does a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. He will have this show as well as all the other shows. They'll be archived. You can go back and take a look at them on deepdixieracing.com, deepdixieracing.com, and he even has the shows broke down in increments, so that if you don't have time for the entire 2 hours, you can go straight to the interview that you want. Maybe there's a certain portion of the show that you wanted to catch. You can do that very easily. He's edited it out and done the hard work for you. All right, right now, come on up, Stevie. We are going to move into a couple of driver interviews, and one of the things that I really do enjoy about being the host of the Deep Dixie Racing Report is this: you get to meet a lot of new people, and I don't think there's been a week yet that we've done this show that I haven't had the opportunity to meet someone new, and we've actually been able to talk to some household names in racing. But coming up next, I'm joined by a gentleman that is one of the most solid race drivers that I've ever seen, and he has a record to back it up. We're joined right now by Stevie Jones, also known as the Gray Ghost. Stevie, it's good to have you tonight, buddy. Glad to have you with us, and it worked out perfect. Stevie is doing some work down in Albany, and about an hour's drive away, was able to come down and join us live. We appreciate that. Before we talk about racing, I got to know, what did you think about that steak you ate tonight, man?
It was good.
Right on the money.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'm telling you, man, and that's not a paid advertisement. That's just somebody that come and ate supper. Stevie, I know that many people in the Middle Georgia area, they know about you. As a matter of fact, when we were eating supper tonight, there was some folks that come in from Cordele. Immediately, you knew them from years past in racing. How long exactly have you been racing, and where did you start?
Probably 27 years, and I actually started in Dublin at 441.
What class were you in then?
Started in Bomber.
In Bomber. Was you Monte Carlos?
Old Monte Carlo.
His things are workhorses, aren't they?
Workhorse.
How long did you run in that division before you moved up?
Probably run a couple years in that, and then moved on up to like cadet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cadet back then was, you know, kind of like pure stock.
Right.
We run the big tires.
Right.
And then after that, you know, I went to sportsman and didn't, you know, just kept moving up till I got the late models.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where most everybody knows you now. I know that in years past, the National Late Model Series, Ray Miller and Donnie Brown and that staff. By the way, if Ray and Donnie or anyone else from that group are watching, hello to you guys. And, you know, we thank a lot of them, man, providing some of the best racing in our area. And, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Ray Miller, man. He is one tough customer, and not able to get around as much as he used to. But I know that you run a couple times on that series, Stevie, and I know that some of the stiffest competition that we've seen in a long, long time. What was some of your best finishes in the National Late Model Series?
Well, I got a few wins in Cochran and Brunswick, and some good runs in Savannah. And, you know, I've run good with the series. It's tough. I mean, if you run in the top 10 with the series, you done went out there and done something.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, it's tough. That series, as tough as it gets. I mean, it's just as tough as these super boys, you know.
Yeah.
because, you know, some of them in the series, they go run super, you know, Ivey,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them down there, they already run super, so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a tough series.
It sure is, man. And I know that many of those races that I've seen and been at, there was a lot of good drivers that loaded up and went home, didn't even make the field for those shows. And, you know, the competition seems like it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. If you're just joining us right now, thank you for tuning in. Stevie Jones, the Gray Ghost, is with us, and we have long time seen him in the 117 late model, and for years and years had that big saw blade, the quality saw service on the side. Right now, Stevie is not racing quite as much as you used to, and but still making some starts. As a matter of fact, this past Saturday night in Cochran Motor Speedway, and down at Cochran, I don't know those of you that have ever been to our neck of the woods, but we have had a lot of parity at Cochran this year. As a matter of fact, I could be wrong, but I don't think we have had a repeat winner in the late model division this year. I know that we have had almost an entirely different field of cars each week, and this past week was no different. And Stevie scored a big win, and man, it was awesome. Keith Edge, another veteran that races with us down there, made a pass on the outside, and eventually coming home to score the win. Getting the wins never get old, does it, Stevie?
No, they don't.
And you know, right now you're not driving your car. You was actually driving for David Poole, good friend of yours, and David, a great driver in his own right, and scoring the win down there. But we want to say thank you to David and the crew for that. And I think you guys are planning on coming back Saturday.
As far as I know, we coming.
Okay. And another car owner and a car family, a racing family that I know that Stevie has been very close to. Most all of us at Cochran have, that you drove, and I've seen that car. You put it on the track, and there not one sponsor on that car, a black number 13. And every time I think of that car, I think of Elvis McCoy. And I don't know if any of Elvis's family or his wife Donna, or maybe Elvis could possibly tune in and maybe go back and see a replay. But Elvis, we're thinking of you. We're praying for you, buddy. And I understand that there's been some small improvements, and just keep getting well, Elvis. We're all pulling for you, buddy, and we miss you. But I know that you raced with them,
Right.
and you had some success. What is it about it, man? It seems like that whatever car you get in, and I'm not trying to blow smoke, but is it just that the experience? Do you know how to set the cars up, or what is it that brings the success to you?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they know how to set the car up. I mean, we whoever I drive for, Jamie, David, you know, we all get together and come to a decision. Not one person just jumps and does this.
Right.
A late model, you can't. Some people try to change too many things, and then you sure enough in a mess.
Yeah.
If your car gets worse, what made it worse? You
Right.
change here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stuff like that. But we just get together and we make a decision together. And you know, we was up there the other week with David's car, didn't run good, and we found some things that needed some attention. We worked on them. I wouldn't say it's the best it could be, but it's better. And, you know, and if we continue to go the direction we are, I hope it can get better.
Right. We're joined right now by Stevie Jones. He's a late model driver, and you heard him say earlier, started out right at the bottom, driving a Bomber, been racing about 27 years now, and one of the premier late model drivers in our area, always a threat to win. Stevie, I want to take you back just a few years, and one of the strongest race teams from top to bottom that I have ever seen, and I think anybody would agree. The Turk racing team, Rex and Ronnie Turk, two brothers, their parents, Mr. Walter, Miss Ann Turk, a very, very sweet family, very tight-knit racing family. And man, when they put that 17 car on the track, it was just about unbeatable. And years ago, I was doing the newspaper articles and announcing and that sort of thing at Cochran. And these guys come out and won. And we talked about Randy Weaver. He's got 8 wins now. Come out and won. Come back the next week and won. On about the 3rd consecutive win, I think the track owner put a bounty on you. You come back and you win 4, then you win 5. And I remember telling you, I said, Stevie, if you'll win 6 races, I'm going to do a special article about you. And you went out and did it, man. That was one of those times that personally, I have never seen that before, and I've not seen it since until Randy Weaver. I'm sure at some track somebody's done it, but I've just not heard of it. What does it feel like to be in that kind of zone, and how can you possibly describe how you get there?
How you get there? I mean, I don't know. Hard work, dedication. I mean, everybody working together. And the feeling's unbelievable. That when you pull in, you know that you ain't out here shooting for them; they shooting for you the whole field. Right. I mean, it's just unreal. And for me to be able to do that, it wasn't just me. If it wasn't for them and what them tuning the car, nothing. We wouldn't have won their race. Right. You know. Not one, but. You know, it's just a thing. Everybody come together, and you know, maybe I was lucky them 6 weeks. I hit my mark every time I went in the corner and got back on the gas when I needed to. I mean, things like that. I mean, I mean, who knows? I mean, hard. Everybody works hard, and everybody's after the same thing. I mean, everybody pulls in that gates there to try to win, and you know, some's luckier than others.
Got it. We are joined right now by Stevie Jones, the Gray Ghost. And Stevie, before I let you get out of here, you've got a son, and Landon. And Landon is now 12 years old, and I've known Landon since he was a little bitty, probably before he could even walk. And I can tell you that working at Mr. Carl Williams go-kart track in Lawrence County, Landon has raced a go-kart. And he absolutely inherited some genes from his dad, because Landon was just about unstoppable. I mean, really, every week that he run, it was almost a shoe-in that Landon was going to win the race, and very smooth and everything. And, you know, like most fathers, Stevie, I have 2 sons of my own, and I think all of us that are parents would agree when our kids do something, that is 10 times better. At least for me, I get so much more joy. But what does it feel like knowing that your son, even at an early age, is it really looks like that he's inherited some of that? How does that feel?
It feels good to see. When he raced that year, he was 9, and he hadn't even ever been on a yard go-kart, more or less a racing go-kart. He run 40 races that year and won 31 races.
Wow. That's pretty good, huh? What's the math on that? That's got to be bumping 90-something, ain't it? 90% or whatever.
I mean, if he can do that in a car, I ain't close to what he's going to be able to do.
Wow. We're joined right now by Stevie Jones. And Steve, before I let you get out of here, man, there's one thing that we talked about. You know, life is so precious and life is so fragile, man. And I wouldn't even bring this up, but I know Steve, you don't mind me talking about it. About a year ago, you climbed up in a deer stand. Everything is just fine, nothing out of the ordinary. You get up in that stand, suddenly your legs don't feel just right, and like we all do, you sit in the wrong spot too long. You get in the wrong position. Your leg goes to sleep. Your arm goes to sleep, and kind of thought that's exactly what was going on, but it turned out to be a whole lot bigger deal than that. Starting in that evening in the deer stand, tell us what happened and tell us how you're doing now physically.
Well, sitting in there, just got to get numb my legs and stuff, and sat there a while, stood up, shook my legs. I said, you just need to move around a little bit. Kept getting worse, and I got down. I couldn't hardly walk. I got to my truck and got to the emergency room. 3 hours later, I couldn't walk. So they sent me to Macon. I stayed up there a week. They couldn't tell me nothing. Couldn't walk. They sent me home. Couldn't walk. Eventually got where I could walk a little along. Every week or two, I'd get a little bit better. And it took about 2 months before I ever found out what was really wrong. And it's a viral infection that attacked my spine called transverse live. No,
Wow.
Nothing you can take to cure. It can percent. If you lucky, you won't ever be on it. It could take up to.
Wow.
And it's probably been about 8 months. Actually, about 8 months since it happened. And my legs and feet numb 24/7. The pedals in the car that I drove over here, I can't feel them good.
Mm-hmm.
The race car, I can't feel the pedals exactly.
Right.
But the racing's just habit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doing that for 27 years,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm numb or not. If I had to, I could probably Velcro my pedals, my feet to the pedals, and it just be habit.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, that's the hand I was dealt. I never questioned why. The only thing I was worried about when it did happen, I think my family worried more than I did. I was just worried if I couldn't ever walk again, how am I take care of everybody that I got to take care of?
Right. I remember that well, and we've been friends for a long time, Stevie, and I remember when that happened, and talking with the family, and even you and I talking. Is there any way that you can put it into words? And I know this is not necessarily racing, but I mean, 8 months ago, you couldn't feel your feet, your legs, you couldn't walk, didn't know what was going on, and then you finally get diagnosed, and there's no guarantee that you're ever going to be able to even be able to walk again. Fast forward to this past Saturday night, not only are you able to get back in a race car, and just for the record, by the way, Stevie tried to come back on Thanksgiving. It was freezing cold in Middle Georgia at Thanksgiving. We were down there practicing, and I remember I talked to you that night, and you said, I'm just going to try still walking very gingerly and everything. But after being through that and faced with the reality that, wow, it's possible I may not even be able to walk again. Forget about racing and other activities, but I may not even be able to walk. Having been there and coming back and winning a race on Saturday night, try to explain to us what the relief or the what is it? How does that make you feel?
I'm just amazed because I know what my legs and feet feel, and I mean, for me to do that, I'm real surprised.
Yeah.
Because if anybody walked a day in my shoes now, they would say, how can he drive a car?
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody sees me getting in and out of it, they'd say, he can't hardly get in and out. I mean, but it's just unbelievable. But,
Yeah.
And that's like I said earlier, even before the show, I'm going to try to race all I can, because 6 months from now or a month from now, I may not can walk again.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I've always loved, and I quit a time or two to do stuff with my son, but I'm gonna try to race as much as I can, because that shows right there, you don't ever know what might happen to you.
That's right.
It could happen to any person in here.
Yeah. Well, Stevie, I got to tell you, man, we aside from the racing and everything, we are delighted that you're doing better, buddy. And I know that the racing family and everybody watching, this brings it on closer to home, don't it? I mean, one day nothing out of the ordinary happens, and suddenly your life changes, and you are really faced with some some big time challenges. But anyway, man, thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. And you did a great job. I know that I guess probably because we're a little closer friends, I can ask you stuff like that. And I appreciate you really just talking about that. Because I know there's other people out there that's probably going through the same thing. Right. Never, ever give up, guys. Those wheels are always turning. And most importantly, never, ever, ever take for granted. If you wake up in the morning and your eyes work, you got a miracle. If your legs work, you got a miracle. If you can breathe, you may not have everything that you want. None of us will. We're human. But thank God for his blessings. And Stevie, our best to you, not only this weekend, but the rest of the year, not only in racing, but in your life, your family, your job, and everything else. We appreciate you joining us, man. Good job. A very, very good job. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gray Ghost, Stevie Jones, late model driver, fresh off a big win Saturday night at Cochran Motor Speedway. And I'm guessing we are about at the 2 to go signal right now. Coming up next, I'm going to invite my good buddy, Mr. Hunter Cossette. Where is Hunter at? Come on up here, Hunter. Thanks again, Stevie. Right. We appreciate it, buddy. Come on up here and join us, Hunter. And to all of you that have hung in here with us, it's incredibly how fast this time goes by. This is the Deep Dixie Racing Report, and brought to you by 5-Star Hyundai 650 Russell Parkway in Warner Robins, Georgia, broadcasting live from the Rescue Smokehouse Grill right here on exit 75. They're going to be open until 10 o'clock, man, serving up that good barbecue, some of that good steak, award-winning cookers here. And we appreciate Raymond and Amy Poor, as well as the staff here at Rescue Smokehouse Grill. Come on out and see us. I'm joined right now by one of the hottest young drivers, a great young man, got a great family. Matter of fact, his parents and his lovely girlfriend, who are also all friends of mine, are here with us tonight. We're joined right now by the 2014. He is the reigning 5-Star Hyundai Bomber Points champion, Mr. Hunter Cossette. Hunter, we appreciate you coming out to be with us tonight, buddy.
Good to be here.
Thanks for driving down here. Right out of the box, man, I want to congratulate you on a championship. And again, those of you that go out to your local tracks every week, you know how intense the racing gets. You know how competitive it is. And the Bomber division down at Cochran, man, that is no place for somebody that's got weak knees and weak nerves. It is an all-out battle. And in order to win a championship in that division, there's so many things that's got to come together. And, I mean, there's literally 20, 22, 25 cars out there every week. That ain't just on a good week. That's every week. And there's a lot of competition. First of all, tell us how many wins you got last year, Hunter. And more importantly, I know that finishing up consistently among the top, what was the biggest part of that success?
Well, I think we came off with about 4, I think maybe 5 wins, just working hard at it. And just about it, the first one to the last one, all of them mean the same to you, because you work hard to go out there. Like you said, you go out there in a field of cars like that, you know everybody's gunning for it. And
right.
To be able to come off top of something like that, it just makes you feel good week in and week out.
Mm-hmm. We're joined right now by Hunter Cossette. He is the reigning 5-Star Hyundai points champion in the Bomber division. And incidentally, he is sponsored by 5-Star Hyundai in Warner Robins, Mr. Mike Hurd. And Mike's been here with us, Hunter. And I know that the time that you met Mike Hurd and the folks at 5-Star, I know that was a big turning point in your racing. For all of the young drivers that are out there, and not necessarily the young drivers, but the journeymen, the veterans that are out there, what does it mean to have that kind of help and sponsorship?
Oh, man, it's ungodly amazing. Not just the fact of sponsorship like that, you grow to know people and meet people. And I think more than just a sponsor, we done grown to be closer than that, more of friends. And I mean, it's just truly a blessing to meet people like that and be able to come close to them like you do. And it's just unreal.
Yeah. Hunter Cossette joining us right now. He's the reigning Bomber champion at Cochran. And Hunter, you won the championship. No better way to finish off the year. And then you have made the step up. Now you are in the pure stock division. And talking about jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, man, there is no time to learn. There is no time to catch your breath. And Brian Hester and I talked earlier about the All-Star Stock Car Series that's going to be coming to Cochran. It's going to be a big, big race Memorial Day weekend. We're going to race on Sunday and not Saturday. We don't do that often, but on holidays we will do that. And so make plans to join us then. But we're going to have an All-Star Stock Car Series warm-up race this coming Saturday. And what does it feel like, first of all, coming out of a bomber car and then getting into a pure stock car? And how does it differ as far as handling, speed, and so forth?
Well, I don't think it'd be so bad if we went from a coil spring to a coil spring. Tony's got his Camaro, and I'm fortunate enough he asked me to drive his Camaro this year. And the transition from driving a coil spring car to a leaf spring car it's been a big learning difference. And I just fortunate enough to have, the way I look at it, good coaches on my side. I got Tony and Ronnie and Gator, all of them at the shop, and they know what it's like to drive a leaf spring car and tell me how to get me through it. And really, it's just been a learning process, just driving a different style car.
And this past Saturday night, you come home with a third place finish, and it's been, is that right? Did I get that right?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking, I think I was thinking about something else. But anyway, I know that you've been a front runner, and in the pure stock division, I noticed that you guys have not ran every single week. Now, last year, obviously, you're running for points championship. You got to be there every week. You've got to be there hammering away, or somebody's going to pass you up. This year, you guys not so much worried about that. Is this what you would call a transition year, or?
Really, before we even decided to run pure stock this year, we kind of just said, I mean, like you said, to be able to go out there week in and week out to try to compete for points. I mean, you got to do your homework at home too. I mean, you got to bust out homework on your car, make sure everything's right. And I mean, it can really take a toll on you. And we just decided we're not going to try to run every weekend this year. Or just try to stick to one track. Let's try to venture out and try new racetracks out there and see what we like. And just if we won't feel like racing, we're going to race. If we don't, we're just going to maybe kick back at the house or incliner, or go out there and sit in the stands and watch.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You guys have earned the break, that's for sure. Now, I got to ask the question, with as much success that you had last year, is the bomber car, is it going to come back out from time to time this year on a big race, or is that pretty much in the past?
I like to say it could, but it pulls up on us in a certain kind of way. But we couldn't have day. Well, yesterday they said it was all right. And I'm not going to take my time to take it out because it looks good and not make it no faster. So it's going to stay at the shop and wait for Alabama.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined right now by the reigning five-star Hyundai Bomber points champion, Mr. Hunter Cossette. He has moved up to the pure stock division this year. And Hunter, you know, coming up in a few weeks, we're going to have a big race. This is a touring series and everything, and we've talked ad nauseum about that. We've had a lot of the pure stock drivers to join us here. We've talked to them by phone. Is there anything that you guys are going to do different leading up to that? Are you going to try to race every weekend until Memorial Day and be ready to go then, or how are y'all going to approach that?
I guess just do how we've been doing this whole season. And from what I hear, I don't know how they're going to do that race, if they're not going to have a pure stock race that weekend or have pure stock and the all-star race separate. I'll be honest with you, we ain't got enough of those boys. Them jokers do their homework week in, week out. Got an ungodly motor and a bunch of good drivers. And I just don't know if we really got enough car for that class. Hopefully, if they do a pure stock race, we'll just race pure stock. If not, probably just go sit up in the stands and watch some good racing.
All right. We're joined right now by Hunter Cossette. He is a pure stock driver as of this year. He's a bomber champion. And I know that you've got your parents and your girlfriend Kayla's here with us tonight. And your race team is definitely a family affair. And we've talked about this before in local interviews and things, but it's got to be a good feeling knowing, win, lose, or draw, that your folks are there for you and they're always supporting you. How does that feel?
I mean, it's just good to know you got a good backbone. I mean, I got my grandfather. He's always been one of my biggest supporters, along with my parents and Kayla herself. And I mean, he come in off the track. It's like this past weekend. We went out there, won a heat race, got all hyped up, ready for the feature, and didn't even hardly make 3 laps. Power steering went out. Come in. I mean, they're all there for me. Say, hey, you get them next time. Just don't tear yourself up about it. Didn't tear up the car. You got something to look forward to. Good to look forward to. Just go home, fix the power steering, come back and try it again.
Gotcha, man. That's about all you can do. Well, Hunter, before we let you get out of here, man, I want to thank you not only for coming down here to join us tonight, man, but you know, I appreciate the way that you go about handling your business. I really do. And how old are you?
21.
21 years old. And man, if we had a nickel for every 21-year-old out there that's either racing or aspiring to race, man, there's just millions and millions of them. But I know that this young man, apart from racing, is a hard worker and a good person. And so that goes a long way. And, you know, Hunter, we're going to be watching you close, man. And again, congratulations on your championship run for last year. Is there any parting words you want to share with us before we let you get out of here, buddy?
Look forward to some great racing. I'd like to say thanks for, like you said, 5-star Hyundai. We actually got 5-star Ford on board this year, and my grandfather always helps out my parents. And biggest thanks to DRT. I mean, they took me in under their wing and take care of me week in and week out at their shop, and we all help each other out. It's Tony and Peggy and Ronnie and Bubba, and Gator comes over and hangs out. You know, he drives my Nova for me on the big races in Alabama, and it's just unreal the help that you can get, just the good people you get to know with it. And I would like to thank all of them for their help and support.
Absolutely. Well, Hunter, we wish you the very best, man. Thank you for making the trip, as well as your family. Tracy, Gary, Kayla, thank you for coming. We see these people every single week. And I mean, this had nothing to do with Hunter being our guest tonight, but Hunter, how far do we live? A mile apart or whatever? I pass Hunter's house every single day. And but we're very, very glad to have you, man. Good luck to you in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hunter Cossette, he is the reigning points champion in the 5-star Hyundai Bomber division. He moved up to the pure stock division this year, and they are getting their feet wet and making a little noise, trying to learn the ropes up there. Dale, do we have anyone else, or is this going to wrap it up?
We can make one call if you want to.
Let's try to do that in honor of Eddie MacDonald. Guys, thanks for joining us. We have went over just a little bit, and while we were doing the interview with Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr., we had somebody give a note that apparently this is a very close friend of Mr. MacDonald's, and if we can get him on the line, we're going to talk to him for just a minute before we shut it down tonight. And we're trying to get a hold of Mr. Gordon Perkle. And Mr. Eddie, if you want to come on back up here.
Hello.
Mr. Gordon, it's Pastor Todd Sharon, Deep Dixie Racing. How are you?
Oh, just fine. Just fine.
Good. We appreciate you. We got that in us right now. I'm sitting here right beside Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. and understand that you guys are friends. What can you tell me about this guy?
Oh, he's one of my biggest heroes. I've known Eddie for a while. He's one of that biggest supporters getting the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame up here in Dawsonville, Georgia. And he's one of the inductees in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Got a trophy case in there. Got some of the prettiest trophies I ever seen. Got Eddie MacDonald's name all over.
How about that? If y'all are just tuning in, we are on the line right now with Mr. Gordon Perkle, and he is associated with the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame up in Dawsonville, and talking about some of the memorabilia that he has that has come courtesy of Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. Mr. Perkle, how long have you known Mr. MacDonald, and how many races would you guess that you saw him run over the years?
Well, a good many, but I didn't actually know Eddie personally, and I'm one of them that always went to races and was up in the stand, and I go way on back to some of the pioneers of racing. But they were pretty much after he came down this way. But I've been, pretty close friends to him for the last 15 years or more.
Okay. Well, he's sitting right here beside of me. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to him or any questions?
I heard he's getting old. I heard he had a birthday. I'd like to tell him happy birthday.
Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it.
Mr. Gordon, I got to ask you, how many years young are you?
78, not near as old as Eddie.
Not near as old as Eddie. And Mr. Eddie is 85 years old. So,
I know.
So you got 7 years on him.
Yeah, he's just a young fellow.
Well, Mr. Gordon.
I wish he was up here close. I got some volunteers that work for me at the museum. Well, Miss Valdell Sophie, over Sophie's with her. She's 90. Most of them's in the 80s. Helps me up here, so that makes me feel young.
I hear you, man. I hear you. We're joined on the line right now by Mr. Gordon Perkle. He is a friend of Eddie MacDonald Sr. And Mr. Gordon, I know that you mentioned about the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame. I'm actually the announcer at Cochran Motor Speedway, and I don't know if it was you that I met or maybe one of your representatives that came down and talked to us about that. Have you ever been to Cochran Motor Speedway? Have we met?
I kind of believe that it's been 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, that would have been about right.
I believe I did.
Okay.
I go to a lot to the races and just try to spread the word about the museum.
Well,
it is the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
Some people get to, they kind of think it might be the Dawsonville Museum just because we had lots of early days races, but it is the Georgia Racing Museum. Of course, we got a lot of elites in it, but it's not the elite museum. It's the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mr. Eddie is actually an inductee in that. Give us a couple of the names for those that may be watching that may not be real familiar with the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, along with Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr. Who are some of the other names that are in that Hall of Fame up there?
Lavon Kendrick, I think that Eddie drove for some. Aubrey Harley from down there, Harvey Jones. We got a pretty good people down in that area in the Hall of Fame. Of course, we got some of the pioneers like Raymond Parks, Grover Sophie, Red Bang. Of course, Law Hall, Lord C. from Dawsonville, and then you got lots of the drivers that came along, like Bud Lunsford, Charlie Nancy, of course, and
That's who he is.
I think we got right now in 96. We started that foot every year, and that we cut it down to 5. And we'll be announcing pretty quick 15, and then we'll select the 5 out of those 15.
Okay. Well, I know that a lot of people that are tuning in tonight and watching the Deep Dixie Racing Report, I know that they follow stuff like that. They're very, most people are interested to the point that they like to find out about that. If somebody wanted to come and visit your facility, what is your hours of operation, and when can they come and take a look? Are you guys open on the weekend through the week, or when are you open?
We're open 7 days a week. It's from 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Sunday we open from 1 to 5.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, we're on the line with Mr. Gordon Perkle with the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame, and they're up around Dawsonville, and that's the stomping grounds of Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Is that right?
That's right. We got a young one coming along now.
Yeah, we sure do, man. He's going to make some noise for himself. But Mr. Eddie, did you have anything you wanted to say to Gordon before we let him go?
Not really. How are you doing, Gordon?
Hey, doing just fine, Eddie. You got to get up here and see me now.
Yeah, you need to come down this way again.
All right. Well, I tell you what, man, it has been fun to be a part of this conversation. Mr. Gordon, we sure do appreciate you calling in, buddy, and we will try to give you some love for the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame up there, and the next group of inductees will be decided upon when?
I think it's usually done on Memorial Day, but no, it's a little later than that. It's Grayson. Since it's closed, I'm not sure, but it'll be coming up very soon, the 15th.
Okay.
And then we'll select, but we don't induct them in until November. I think it's November the 14th when they get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. And listen, we sure do appreciate you calling in and talking not only to Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr., but telling us a little bit about the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame. We sure appreciate your time, sir. We hope that you have a good evening.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Eddie.
All right. God bless you. Thank you, sir. All right, folks, that is going to do it for another great night of discussion, learning a little bit, laughing a little bit here at the Deep Dixie Racing Report. Of course, our thanks again to Raymond and Amy Poor, all the staff here at the Rescues Smokehouse Grill. They're still open. They'll be open until 10 tonight. Got about 45 minutes. Come grab you some supper. We still have that vintage race car that has been completely restored, and you still got time to come and take a look at that. You don't have a lot of time. These guys are ready to go to the house, but if you're close by, you can come on by and take a closer look at it. Of course, our friends at 5 Star Hyundai, 650 Russell Parkway in Warner Robins, Georgia, our sponsor. And guys, we are looking for sponsors. I think you know by now this is the real deal. We mean business. We are dedicated and committed to the Deep Dixie Racing Report. And anybody that would like to partner up with us as a sponsor, we sure would appreciate it. And again, my thanks to Mr. Eddie MacDonald Sr., Eddie MacDonald Jr. We also would like to thank Mr. Jerry Ivey, Mr. Keith Kendrick, and of course, my friends, Stevie Jones, Hunter Cossette. We did get a phone call in from Mr. Gordon Perkle. Thank all of you for helping us out with our show tonight. Don't forget, the good Lord willing, we will be back next Thursday night live from the Rescue Smokehouse Grill right here on exit 75. We do want to wish all of our mothers a very happy and safe Mother's Day. If you've lost your mother, the memories will live on forever. And we want to honor, remember, and celebrate all of our mothers this weekend. And as always, we start with prayer and we're going to end with prayer. I'm going to ask everybody, if you would, wherever you are at, to bow your heads as we go to the Lord in prayer right now. Father, we thank you once again for your blessings, your mercy, and your kindness. We thank you, Lord, for a great night of visiting with friends and meeting new friends. Lord, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of the racing family. It truly is a family. And Lord, as always, we pray that you will touch those that are sick and struggling in our racing family. We ask for healing and relief and comfort. And Lord, I pray for every single one of our drivers all over the country, all over the world that are going to be competing. We pray for all of the crew members, all of the track workers that are real close to the action, all of the fans that are going to watch. We just pray that you'll give us a safe weekend of racing, good competition, good sportsmanship. We just pray that there will be nobody hurt, no injuries. We know that racing is dangerous, and we just ask for a safe weekend. Bless all of our mothers. Lord, I pray for those that have lost their mothers. Just help them, Lord, to remember them. And Lord, when their hearts are heavy and broken because they miss them, bring comfort to their hearts and their minds. And Lord, as always, we thank you for the death of Jesus Christ on the cross that shed his blood to forgive us of our sins so that we could be saved. We thank you for that, and we will never, ever forget that. And Lord, be with our servicemen and women all over the world as well as their families. We ask that you bring them home safely. We ask that you bring them home soon. We pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Once again, thank you for joining us on another great night of the Deep Dixie Racing Report. Tune in next Thursday night, 7 till 9. You can catch us live. If you missed the show or a portion of the show, simply go to deepdixieracing.com where you can catch up any show that we've had. We've done 9 of them so far. We sure do appreciate all of your support. Keep the comments, suggestions, and the questions coming. We'll do our best to get the guest on that you're asking for. Again, thanks to everybody that helped us out tonight. On behalf of Mr. Dale Hall, our producer, Mr. Brian Harris, that helps us out so much. Hester, I knew that. It's getting late, guys. Brian, we appreciate your help. This is Pastor Todd Sharon saying God bless you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time, the good Lord willing, right here at the Smokehouse Grill at Exit 75 for the Deep Dixie Racing Report. Good night, guys.